What's up, guys? Welcome to the More Than a Network Marketer podcast. Today, we are talking about how to adjust what you're doing and pivot your activities when it feels like online business is not working. I remember one of my clients, she's been an online coach for a number of years and she's been absolutely killing it, but she kind of hit this point in this season where she was just really exhausted and needed to take a step back. And she was experiencing these income drops and things were just really disengaged. And so that was when we started to look at, okay, what are some other ways that you can monetize? Because she was in a season of earning after coming out of a season of learning. And when we look at some of these truths about burnout, when it comes to burnout in online business, one of the biggest things that you notice is you're working more, but you're making less. And you notice that your message is feeling very dry, stale. It feels no longer you. It's reaching the same 5 people only. You're constantly second guessing and you want to blame an algorithm, and you're feeling resentful of work that you used to love. And even if it doesn't mean you're ditching that work forever, it just doesn't serve you right now in this season. But what's important to remember that burnout doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means that the model that you're operating in is either not working for you anymore or just is not working for the season of life that you're in. And that's 100% okay. But what most people do is they throw in the towel on business entirely, and that's not you. It's just about readjusting, because businesses will often stop working when they feel like they don't know what else that they can do, especially when people shift away from that, MLM affiliate model. It's a lot more hoops to jump through, a lot more work, lower payouts. A lot of people are also still dealing with saturated strategies, the cold messages, the copy paste tactics, the challenge group. Their audience is also so fatigued of getting that same message that doesn't work and doesn't matter to them over and over and over again. But a lot of people, when they recognize that this is happening, they also kind of enter this stage of grief for the business they thought they were going to have, or when the business changes from what they thought it should be. That can be really hard. But when we look at, okay, what's a framework for an exit plan? There's 3 simple steps that I want you to look at and I want you to take away from this episode today. The first one is audit your skills, not your titles or accolades. You're not just a coach. You're not just a network marketer. You're not just an ex-rep. You've built certain skills in leadership, in content creation, in sales, in community, in fostering really loyal audiences. Write down everything you already know how to do that's valuable outside of the model that you're coming from, the network marketing, MLM, affiliate marketing. And then you want to look at simplifying the income streams that you have, because we don't put all of our eggs in one basket here. So we're going to ditch stacking the 5 lowest paying side hustles. We're focusing on aligned ways that you can earn based on the season of life you're in, the bandwidth that you have, and what you're able to offer. It's UGC. Maybe it's affiliate marketing. Maybe it's doing some things in your community. And something else that you need to do is you want to make sure that the work that you do, no matter what, is no longer just centered around products. It's about centering around the skills and what you bring to the table as far as your brand. And we're multi-passionate people up in here, so we don't just put all of our eggs in one basket, and we don't want to feel like we're stuck in one arena. And you're not stuck in one arena, because pivoting and adjusting and maybe putting more time into one income stream and then shifting to another is not a sign of failure. It's leadership. When you are someone who is multi-passionate, right? You are doing a ton of different things. But what I tell people is, they say, I want to speak on stages, I want to coach, I want to make money, I want to write a book, I want to go on tour. You can do all of the things that you want to do, just maybe not necessarily at the same time. You heard me probably talk about earlier in this episode, I mentioned my client at the very beginning who was shifting from being in a season of learning to then a season of earning. So her behaviors and her actions then had to change to be about making money. She went from taking in a lot of information, learning, then she was entering a season of earning. And oftentimes also when you're in a season of earning, when your goals are really in strengthening finances for either goals or personal reasons, sometimes we do have to sacrifice some of the fun elements that come along with business. And when people look at adjusting or exiting from burnout, they think that the key to exiting from burnout is moving into an arena that is all sunshine and butterflies and rainbows. And I hate to break it to you, but that is not true. It is not true. Oftentimes when we make the adjustment, it can almost feel like things get less fun and oftentimes get worse before they get better. Because when you're getting out of burnout, something that you're doing is oftentimes in the midst of being in burnout, we also end up inadvertently treating our business like a hobby, and we're not doing a lot of those not sexy, not fun, non-negotiables, like building out the systems and strengthening communication and building templates that help you save time and become more efficient. We weren't maybe using project management softwares, and we were keeping track of everything in the notes app on our phone or in our heads. Because oftentimes also, even though I talked about at the beginning that burnout can be from a business model that no longer serves you. It could also be because of how you were operating in that business model, or the lack of operating the way that you should in that business model. If you know, you know. For me, I have ADHD. I was officially diagnosed last year, but I've certainly recognized the signs for a long time, just didn't really take the time to deal. Part of the course for ADHD. But oftentimes when we feel very overwhelmed, or when we feel like something isn't working, we will either do one of two things, a lot of us, ADHD or not. We will either jump and kind of put 10% in a ton of different tasks and never finish anything, or we will retreat and only focus on the things that feel fun. But the downside of doing either of those things is you're setting yourself up to be in a position where you are going to experience a drop in impact, a drop in the interactions and the engagement that you get on social media. Because, and this is oftentimes really hard for people to hear, they can tell when you're not really in it. People can tell when you're not committed. And that is just an over-encompassing side effect of burnout. We truly do pull away from a lot of the things that we know we need to be doing. So while you're writing out, because I gave you those 3 steps, right? As you start to look at, okay, the season of life I'm in, what are the arenas that I can truly monetize in, and how can I do it more efficiently and do it without burnout? One of the strongest pieces of advice that I can give is just being brutally honest with yourself about the fact that it's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be sexy. And it can feel really isolating. But you know, one of my best pieces of advice for that, especially when you are pivoting, or you're maybe shifting your focus from one arena into another, or shifting from one you used to be, or from one you are now into one that you used to be in, do it out loud. And what I mean by that is document what you're doing on your social media and share the feelings that come up, the fear, the apprehension, the struggles. And when you build out loud, what you're going to find is that it almost becomes more enjoyable to do the non-sexy things, because you're able to call in people and share with people who are then going to respond to you and say, you know what, Kayla, I'm also doing those really not sexy things. Like for me, I've been really working on building out systems again, because I started primarily coaching 2019, 2020, 2021, and tail end of 2020 into 2021, I was feeling a lot of this upper limit problem. And so I pulled back and focused most of my energy on my agency, which was primarily exclusively behind the scenes, and I wasn't the face anymore. And then it got to a point where I recognized that by doing that, I was retreating and trying to avoid the sticky, not fun things that were a part of growth. And I was honest with myself and I said, you know what, Kayla, you want to be forward facing. You're feeling burnt out because you're focusing all of your energy on activities that don't serve you. And I wasn't doing the non-negotiable things to maintain it because I didn't want to do it the same way. And so I peeled back agency. I literally went down to the bare bones of the elements that I wanted to be doing only, and I only held on to a very small handful of clients when I shifted agency into a much smaller operation, and I went back into being more forward-facing, coaching, consulting, teaching, documenting out loud, because being the face of the brand is what I love. But one of the biggest lessons and the reminders that I needed is in that process, I also needed to make sure that I was doing the not sexy things. In 2023, 2024 was that harsh realization of, girl, you can't jerry rig this forever, because especially those of us with ADHD, especially those of us that are driven and resourceful, we can jerry rig anything. System that, only works for us and no one else understands it. And that's cool to a point. But when you want business to truly scale, because there's growth and scale. Growth is when you're making more money. Scaling is when you're able to continuously make more money without having to put all of your energy and time and bandwidth into it. And a way that you do that to avoid future burnout is to build out systems and processes and have people to support you. And so that was something that I've been doing, and I'm even doing it right now, which is what inspired this topic, is I'm creating systems and processes behind the scenes, because yes, I'm a multi-passionate person. I do UGC for brands. I do creative strategy for brands. I work in-house with a few brands. I also mentor creators in creating their own offers and monetizing through paid content through UGC collaborations. I also mentor people in creative strategy. And so I work on the brand side, on the creator side, on the mentor side. And then of course, with being a content creator, that fits into all of those buckets, but it's also its own thing. Like, what's up, the podcast? So it's a lot. When you are multi-passionate, when you are juggling a lot, the way that you avoid burnout and feeling like you have to put yourself into this one little bucket is to build out the processes that are actually going to make a huge difference. And what are those processes? It's project management, it's organizing your notes, it's having templates that make messaging easier, all of those things. And then of course, if you want to be someone who posts forward-facing content to social media, y'all, you gotta have a process for that. So I've been investing in softwares, expanding my team, and doing it in a way where it allows me to stay in my zone of genius, but I'm still involved in the system building because you have to be. So when you're looking at how do I adjust in business to avoid burnout, I hope you found this episode helpful, whether you're watching the video or listening to the audio. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, all of the things, because I got all kinds of good stuff coming for you. As always, sharing the hard lessons, sharing the inner works, sharing what's actually working. So that way, when you are ready, move on from MLM network marketing because you recognize that you're more than a network marketer. You have the tools and support to do it. Thank you so much, guys. I'll catch up with you soon.